So the topic that I'm going to talk about is optimism and hope. Uh, the first thing that I want to talk about is this word called optimism. What does this word mean? Why is it so important these days? Uh, why is it being spoken suddenly, uh, especially during these pandemic times? I still remember uh, when this entire news of coronavirus broke, and we said that there is some virus which is there in some place, some part of the world, which is impacting a lot of lives, which is killing a lot of people. And till the time it never came to India, we were still okay that theek hai, China ka problem hai, China will take care. It doesn't really gonna impact us. That was optimism. That was about हम तो बहुत दूर हैं, हमें तो उससे कोई तकलीफ नहीं होगी, हमें उससे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी. let our lives go the way they are going. Let us keep partying, let us keep meeting, let us keep having those get-togethers. It doesn't matter to us. That was optimism at that point of time. Then coronavirus entered our nation, and then we were optimistic. कि ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, आ गया, it's okay, it will go like any other virus. It's just a matter of time. Another 10-15 days, 1 month, it will all go away. How does it? It's not gonna stay for long. Optimism changed. Then the optimism was, can we get a vaccine? Can we get a vaccine which is gonna cure us? I'm sure we will get a vaccine that is gonna cure us. That was also optimism. So optimism is basically looking for positives in the future. That is what optimism is all about. How can I find out the positives in the future? So every time I have a problem, I look into the future and I find something positive about it. I try to find something which is going to comfort me. I try to find something which is going to help me feel better. I find something which is going to make me think good about myself, good about the society, good about the people who are around us. That's what optimism is all about. And optimism is connected with hope. If I'm hopeful, if I have a hope of a brighter future, I'm optimistic. So both of these worlds go hand in hand. Both of these worlds go side by side. Now I'm going to share a couple of stories with all of you. Kuch kahaniyan I'm going to share with all of you, which is perhaps going to talk about what optimism is all about, what hope is all about, and how we can stay optimistic. And because all of you deal with a lot of young people who are going through a very, very tough time at this point of time, it becomes even more important for all of us as professionals to first be optimistic ourselves, to first be hopeful ourselves, to first be positive ourselves, and then go out and spread that positivity, spread that optimism, spread that hope around the people who we get in touch with, around the circle who we are part of, around the people whose life we touch. And hence, for us to remain positive, for us to remain optimistic, for us to remain hopeful, that's more important. And all of us are human beings as well. So there is bound to be a situation, there is bound to be a time when we become pessimists, when we lose hope. And that's the point where we have to really, really take a step back and say, boss, I as a professional, I as a teacher, I as an influencer, I as a change maker, I cannot be pessimist. I cannot be negative. I cannot be hopeless. And that's where we have to take that step back and then bring that positivity. It can be, through various means, which we're going to talk about. But at the same time, we have to have that optimism inside us so that we can spread that out. Because if I'm pessimist, if I'm negative, if I'm hopeless, that spreads. While we may not show it, while we may not demonstrate it, but the person who we get in touch with definitely understands it and gets caught with that. So let's see. And before we get into this topic, I just wanted to quickly tell and talk about and touch upon a subject which is called, a meta skill. And why I want to talk about this meta skill first, because all of us at every point of our life, at every stage of our life, at every career point of our life, we have to do three things in our life. We have to unlearn, we have to relearn, and we have to freeze it, which is also a theory, which is the base of a subject called organization development, which was given by Kurt Lewin, where he said that any change in behavior, any change in people, any change in processes, any change in thinking has to undergo these three steps. So you need to unfreeze, you need to change, and you need to freeze, and then repeat the process. So how do we do this? So everybody today talks about skills. Everybody talks about competencies. Everybody talks about learning. Everybody talks about how do we grow. Everybody talks about how do we develop in whatever we are doing. But nobody talks about how do we do that. Everyone talks about that we need to focus. Everyone talks about we need to learn. But how do we learn? So there was this gentleman called Dr. Benjamin Bloom. He gave a beautiful taxonomy, and he calls it learning to learn. So if I as an individual, if I as a professional, if I as a teacher can help my students learn how to learn, is when I will make their life easy. It is about, not giving students a fish to eat or a meal to eat to take care of their hunger. It is about teaching them how do you fish, teaching them how do you prepare that food, because then we are preparing them for the future, which is a VUCA thing, which is volatile, unambiguous, which is complicated, complex, and which has a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity around it. So I thought, let me start with this simple model. This is the Bloom's taxonomy, which says that these are the 6 layers of learning. These are the 6 steps of learning, which says, first thing is that anybody who wants to change, anybody who wants to learn, anybody who wants to grow, first needs to remember things, first needs to acquire that knowledge, first needs to know the concepts, first need to know the systems, the processes, and the facts. So if I'm able to remember, if I'm able to transmit that concept, that knowledge, that theory to the student, to the people who we are getting in touch with, I have achieved the first level. Now, it is not only about transmitting the theory, it is also about making them understand. It is also about making them comprehend what we have told them. So the second step, and as we professionals who are the deciding factor of the future, we have to handhold our people. We have to, in your case, it will be your students. In our case, it's our team members. We have to handhold them, and we have to take them through this ladder. So first, we have to give them the theory. Second, we have to make them understand. We have to tell them that what is the logic behind that theory. If I'm saying that if anything in normal temperature pressure falls, if thrown from a height, then I have to make them understand that what works behind it, what is gravitation behind it, and things like that. Third is, do I help them apply it? If I'm talking about optimism, if I'm talking about hope, if I'm talking about being positive, am I helping them to apply those traits? Am I helping them to put those values on the work? Am I helping them to tell them to break this word optimism or motivation or inspiration into behaviors and helping them to apply them? That's the third step. So I tell them what is motivation. I tell them what is inspiration. I make them understand how it works for them. I make them understand how it is going to make their life better. And third, I help them to apply it in their lives. Now, once they have applied it, I also have to help them analyze that how has this application helped them become a good person, is where I have to take them back, and we have to tell them that, look, this is the behavior change that you have done. And because of this behavior change, these are the positive outcomes that you are getting. Because if I am doing that experiment with me, at that point of time, I'm in the moment. So I really do not know how am I changing? How am I reacting? How am I responding to the entire change that is happening in me? That is where, as an outsider, as somebody who is looking from an outside lens, has to get back to them and help them analyze how this change is bringing better in them. The fifth step is evaluate. That is where you help them evaluate. Now that they have analyzed, you help them evaluate. You help them evaluate that the change that has it happened for better? Has it happened for bad? Is there any other scope of improvement? Is there any other way they can improve themselves? That is where they are evaluating themselves, because they have remembered, they have understood, they have applied, they have analyzed, and hence they are in a better position to evaluate themselves, do self-evaluation. Whatever changes I'm bringing in me, is it really helping me? Is it really helping me to become a better person? Is it really helping me to lead a better life? Is it really helping me to become a better human being? And once they have gone through this stage is when they create their own zones. They become a new person altogether. They create a new self altogether. They chisel the negativity out of them, and they come out as a more positive, as a more informed, as a more aware person. Now, anything that we do on this earth, anything that we learn on this earth, definitely should go through these 6 stages, because then knowledge becomes permanent. Then my knowledge gets translated into the wisdom. Then the data goes and becomes wisdom. So, the whole data, information, knowledge, and wisdom hierarchy that we talk about, this is the game changer. If I'm able to take my students, if I'm able to take my team members, if I'm able to take people who I get in touch with, particularly with all these steps, is when I'm making them do something which they have never done, and making their theory, their concepts more permanent than ever. So this is the basic fundamental block that I wanted to talk about, because this will become the base of this entire session. Moving on. Optimism is different than positive. As I said, optimism and being positive are two different things. Optimism keeps changing. Optimism is very, very situation oriented. Optimism is very, very person oriented. Being positive is a universal value. Being positive is a value that stays with you as your core value. It stays with you as a hard bound thing in the mind. That's positivity. And I'll share a story around it. So there was this restaurant manager, and he was extremely positive. Jis kisi se bhi wo baat karta tha, he was extremely positive. And people used to feel jealous that how can you be so positive? And how you are so positive? So he used to say, look, my friend, every day when I get up, I have two choices in life. A, I be negative about the day, or I be positive about the day. And I choose to be positive about the day. And that's what he always used to tell. And he was the kind of person that whoever used to get in touch with him, whoever used to get positive. No matter how bad you feel, no matter how bad those people think about themselves or how bad situation they are in, they always used to feel good with this person. So one day, this person went to the restaurant. Whenever this person used to enter into the restaurant, everyone used to feel good about him, because he used to bring a lot of positive energy, positive vibes, and things like that. He was working through the day, and because he was too tired, when he was shutting the restaurant, he forgot to lock the back door. That was the mistake that he committed. And he went back to the restaurant. He was doing some calculations of how much earning he has done through the day and things like that. Suddenly, 4 or 5 robbers enter into the restaurant. And all these 4 or 5 robbers catch hold of him and asks him to open the vault, the locker, which has all the money. Now this man, because he gets nervous, he forgets the code of that lock. What is the combination of numbers of that lock? because he was under stress. He misses to open the lock and the lock gets permanently locked. Now, seeing this, robbers think that he is doing it purposely. So what robbers do? Robbers shoot him and leave him there to die. Now, this guy lying on the floor, a bullet in his body, he's thinking, I have two options. Either I choose to die or I choose to live. He decides to live. By God's grace, he's quickly found because there was a gunshot. So people nearby came to know that something wrong has happened. So he comes in. So all those people comes in and he picked up this guy. जब ये इस आदमी को उठा के एम्बुलेंस में लेके जा रहे होते हैं, and you know the doctors are all getting panicked कि इसको इतना he's bleeding so much, whether he will survive or not. They take him to the operation theater. Now he opens his eyes in the operation theaters and he sees all the doctors around him having a very, very tense look and talking to each other whether this man will survive or not. Now this man then asks the doctor that, what is wrong? Why are you not confident? I am confident that I'm going to live. Why are you not confident that I'm not going to live? So you don't operate me as a dead man. You operate me as a living man. The doctor asks him, and now look at the positivity. The doctor asks him, hey man, are you allergic to anything? Now this man has a bullet in his body. He's in pain. And the doctor asks him, तुम्हें किसी चीज से allergy है क्या? He says, yes. Suddenly all the doctors stop because they need to know what that allergy is so that they can treat him accordingly. So the doctor asks him, are you allergic to something? And he smiles in that pain and says, yes, I'm allergic to bullets. Please take them out of my body. Now that's the kind of positivity that one can have despite what kind of situation he or she is in. That's permanent. If I'm not positive by nature, I can never be optimistic. Now that positivity I have to bring in myself. No matter what, no matter how bad situation I am, I have to be positive because there is a light at the end of the tunnel all the time. No matter how long, how dark the tunnel is, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And that is a light which we have to show to our people also. That is a light that is our responsibility to show to our people, to give that optimism, to tell them that future is positive, to tell them that nothing is wrong, to tell them that all of us are going to go through this. Everything shall pass. That is what optimism is. And I cannot be optimistic if I'm not positive. Positive, practically. So optimism is different than positive. Positivity leads to optimism. Optimism is not equivalent to being positive. Moving on. A lot of people around us have learned how to feel helpless. All of us at some point of time love to feel that we are helpless. Love to feel that we cannot control what is happening around us. Whether we do it purposely or whether we do it not knowingly, but all of us love to be in this state. What we also say is that all of us like to play that victim card. All of us like to say, अरे मेरे साथ तो ऐसा हो गया, अरे मेरे साथ तो कितना बुरा हो गया, अरे ये मेरे साथ ही होना था. Why me? Everybody asks. And please, when I'm talking to all of us, please keep reflecting that has it ever happened with us where we play this victim card, that why has it happened to me? I never did anything wrong to anybody. Why did it happen to me? It happens with me also. Is when I understand that I'm being helpless. Is when I understand that I'm being negative. I'm learning helplessness. And I'll tell you how this becomes a habit. So there was this experiment which was done. So what they did, they took two boxes. And in each of these boxes, they kept one small puppy, a dog's puppy. So one box had a puppy, another box had a puppy. Now they started giving little shocks to both of these puppies, which would definitely, they were not very harsh, but they started giving little shocks to these puppies. Now, one puppy, what they did, after 5 minutes, they opened the door, which was not on the side of the box, but which was on the top of the box. Now, this puppy, after he got a shock, found an opening and he jumped and he escaped. While the other box had the puppy, which had no door to escape, he started believing that this is the way life is going to work. This is the way I am going to survive. So let me start getting used to the shocks. The other puppy got to know that if I get a shock, I will always have an opportunity to go out and escape, make a better world for me. Now, when this entire experiment happened, they conducted the phase 2 of the same experiment. Now they kept both these puppies into 2 open boxes and started giving shocks again. You know what happened? The first puppy, which earlier escaped that box, immediately escaped, while the other puppy, which was there in that box, which had an opening, never escaped. Because that puppy learned that this is the way life is going to be. He learned to be helpless. He learned to be in that state. He learned to be in negative state. And that is what happens with all of us. The moment I have these strokes, and all of us are stories, everybody, whatever number of participants we have, 130 participants, all of us are stories. All of us have stories. All of us have different chapters in life. And we 130 people, whoever we meet, another 130 people, another 130 people will also have stories in their lives. Will also have chapters in their lives, which may be good chapters, bad chapter, worse chapter, joyful chapters, meaningful chapters, but all of them also must have some chapters in their life. Now, those chapters of their life have made them the way they are today. Some of them would have become helpless. They have learned helplessness, and some of them would have become optimists, who would have learned optimism, who would have learned how to be optimistic in any situation. We, as professionals, it becomes our duty to make them unlearn this helplessness, to make them unlearn this negative emotions. And this will take a lot of effort. This will not happen in one go. This will not happen overnight. This will not happen by some one session, one lecture. This needs continuous mentoring. This needs continuous coaching. This needs continuous communication. This needs continuous conversation and authentic conversation. If I believe in you is when I'm going to change as per what you're saying. If I do not believe in you, I will just take you as another speaker and I will go my own way. So we have to see how we can make people unlearn this helplessness. Now, this will happen with positive strokes. This will happen with positive stories. This will happen with positive talking, with optimism around it. So that is our duty now to do it. We have to ensure, that we take people out from their comfort zone of being helplessness and take them to their effort zone of thinking that I am not helpless. The situation is in my control. And I'll give you an example. And I'll tell you what is the difference between if you are helpless and if you are positive. It is the same difference, which is the difference between two words called reacting and responding. A helpless person reacts to the situation. A positive person responses to the situation. He gives responses to the situation that he or she is in. And I'll give you an example. So there was this group of ladies who went out on a kitty party, and all of them were sitting in a hotel, all prim, proper, well dressed, from a good society. All of them were sitting, chit chatting, having good lunch, ordered some good appetizers, and to their fear, a cockroach from somewhere comes and sits on a shoulder of one lady. Now, at least I'm very scared of cockroaches. So this cockroach comes and sits on one lady, and this lady gets all scared. She gets all, hassled. So what she does, she quickly gets up, throws her chairs back. That chair falls on the waiter who is passing from behind. The waiter has food. The waiter falls with that food on someone else's table, and there is an utter mess created in the restaurant. Cockroach being cockroach, flies, sits on a waiter's shoulder. Now what this waiter does, the waiter takes a napkin, puts on top of the cockroach, takes it, holds it, throws it out. The difference between these two situations, the problem is same. The problem is cockroach sitting on the shoulder. The situation is same. The lady reacted to the situation. The waiter responded to the situation. Now, these are two different ways you react. If I feel helpless, I react to the situation because I think I can't do anything. So whatever is coming my way, let me just react to it and get over it. Things are not in my control at all. The waiter, being positive, said, there's a problem. Fair enough. Let me be positive about it. Let me find a solution to it. Let me respond to it. Respond. When you respond, you use your mind. When you react, you use your heart. And that is the whole difference. This brings logic. This brings emotion. Both are equally important, but the better solutions get when you react, when you do not react, but you respond. So a lot of people who will get in touch with us, will have learned helplessness. And these are very simple, behaviors that you will see. People will always be negative. People will always be cribbing. People will always be saying negative things. People will always be saying, nahi, ye to ho hi nahi sakta. I know somebody, aap unke paas koi bhi solution leke jao, his first step is no. Let me tell you, no, this cannot happen. Oh, this is too difficult to do. That's all learned helplessness. The positive people say, let's do it, guys. Dekhenge kya hota hai. Pehle kar to le. That's positivity. Very, very important thing when it comes to being positive, being optimistic, is how's the attitude. I wanted to write how's the Josh, but I don't know how many of you have watched this movie. But the question that I want to ask is how's the Josh? Josh is all about attitude. Josh is all about, not succumbing to pressure. Josh is all about not giving up. Josh is all about standing up and fighting. That's what Josh is all about. That's the attitude is all about. I'll take you back to a story again. And it's a real story. You can go on YouTube also and you can see. So this young boy, 17-year-old, his name is Sachin Tendulkar. He tours to Pakistan. And Pakistan has these fierceful bowlers, Wasim Akram, Waqar Yunus, these deadly bowlers. And they are bowling to him on a green pitch. I'm sure all of you who play cricket or who watch cricket or who follow cricket will resonate to what I'm saying. So green top pitch, and these bowlers are bowling. First ball, they bowl to this young kid, goes past through his nose. Wasim Akram comes to him and says, did you smell the leather, brother? That's the attitude that he's trying to show to him. He's trying to unsettle him. He's trying to scare him. The second ball, he bowls a bouncer. Sachin Tendulkar ducks in. The third ball, Wasim Akram bowls in swinger, hits Sachin Tendulkar on his nose. And let me tell you, at that point of time, they had no helmets, no such safety gears. And this boy, a 17-year-old kid, just imagine, he's bleeding from his nose. His white t-shirt has become all red and he falls flat on the ground. Physiotherapist comes running in, doctor comes running in, and Navjot Singh Sidhu, standing at the running end, comes running to him, picks him. Immediately, they put the ice pack, they do the treatment, they put bandage, and they want to take him out of the field. And this boy gets up, and in his shrieking voice, he says, "Main khelega." At 17 years of age, this young boy, after being hit on the nose, bleeding, says, "Main khelega." Everyone is surprised, but he says, "Main khelega." He takes the guard, doctors goes out. He takes the guard, he takes the stance. Next ball, Wasim Akram bowls, and he hits that ball off the cover for a boundary, for a 4. Now that's attitude. That's being positive. How difficult it would have been at that point of time for that boy to stand, and how simple it would have been for that boy to just go out of the field. But then these simple things makes or converts a professional, a person, a human being into a legend. If that wouldn't have happened, perhaps we wouldn't have seen Sachin Tendulkar the way he is today. That's confidence of "Main khelega," because I will control this situation. This external thing, this grass pitch, this Wasim Akram, this ball hitting me, this is not going to define my career. This is not going to define my future. What is going to define my future is me. And that's the kind of attitude today we need to build, create, curate in our next generation, people who we get in touch with. And first, that attitude we have to bring in ourselves, that I am the master of my own destiny. That's my attitude. That's what I feel. That's what I think about myself. You cannot control me. I will control my external environment. And that is why you have another example, two type of lion. One lion you'll see in a circus, and another lion you'll see in a zoo, and third lion you'll see in a forest, a jungle at his own place. All 3 lions are lions, but all 3 have different attitudes. One will do kalabazi on the ringmaster's stick. The second will wait for someone to come and feed, who's at a zoo. And the third is that king. The third is ferocious. The third is what you say, the call for everyone. Now depends. The only difference is attitude. What we want to become. Do we want to become a lion of a circus, or a lion of a zoo, or a lion who walks like a king in the forest? And what we want to make our next generation. So how's the attitude? So attitude becomes extremely important when we talk about being positive, when we talk about being optimistic and things like that. And another thing that I want to tell, that it doesn't mean, that I will not be down at times. That's absolutely okay. Everyone will have bad days in their life. So it's not about falling down. It's about falling down, but ensuring that I will get up. Now, every time my team member or I or any one of you or any one of your students, they fall down, it's okay. Because we also need to teach them to fail. Everybody is today scared of failing. Nobody wants to fail in their life. And we have attached this entire stigma to failing. That if you fail, you are not good. If you fail, you will be left behind. But that's not the case. Because what is happening, we are making them scared of failing. We are telling them कि boss, अगर तुम fail हो गए, तो तुम life में fail हो गए. That's not the case. Failing is equally important as succeeding. But what we need to teach, what we need to tell is that it's important to fail, and it is more important to get up when you fail. And that's the kind of attitude we need to bring in our people, with people who we get in touch with. And it's our responsibility as a collective group to do that. Just understand what kind of emotional distress current students must be going through. They do not have classes. They do not know their future. The jobs are being cut. Everywhere there is recession. India has declared recession. The GDP is going down. Just think of the amount of anxiety all these people must be in. And that's the time we need to bring in this attitude, because this attitude will become the oar which is going to help them sail through this bad time. And that's important. So I'll give you another example of attitude and how you can convert the situation. How you can convert the situation is that, so once in a flight, there was this gentleman called Albert Einstein, and there was this person from India. Both of them were traveling together to US. So Albert Einstein was feeling bored because it was a long flight. So Albert Einstein, he just wanted to have some fun. So he asked this Indian man that, let's play a game. You ask me a question and I will ask you a question. So he says, fair enough. Let's play this game. The Indian man says. So Albert Einstein said, but let's make it more interesting. If you fail to answer my question, you pay me 50 rupees. If I fail to answer your question, and I being Albert Einstein, who knows almost everything, I will pay you 5,000 rupees. So the deal was set that if the Indian is not able to answer, he will pay 50 rupees. And if Albert Einstein is not able to answer, he will pay 5,000 rupees. So the Albert Einstein says, I'll go first. Albert Einstein asked this Indian that, tell me, what is the difference or distance between Earth and Sun? Obviously, Indian man at that point of time, he didn't know, and they had no way of knowing at that point of time. So he says, sorry, I don't know. The Indian man gives 50 rupees to Albert Einstein. Now this is the turn of Indian man to ask Albert Einstein. So the Indian asked Albert Einstein, tell me a creature which goes up the mountain on 2 legs, comes down the mountain on 3 legs. Tell me a creature which goes up the mountain on 2 legs and comes down the mountain on 3 legs. Now Albert Einstein is all confused. He doesn't know the answer. And Albert Einstein, being Albert Einstein, he's baffled. So he tries to find internet. He tries to find on his device, and nothing worked. So he gives 5,000 rupees to the Indian, and he says, I don't know. The Indian takes those 5,000 rupees, keeps those 5,000 rupees in his pocket, quietly sleeps. Now Albert Einstein is all angry. अजब पागल आदमी है यार. मेरे से सवाल पूछा, what goes up the mountain in 2 legs, comes back in 3 legs. I don't know the answer. And he has quietly slept, taking my 5,000 rupees. So he wakes this guy up and says, hey man, you tell me what goes on the mountain with 2 legs and what comes back with 3 legs. Now this Indian man smiles, takes out 50 rupees from his pocket and says, I don't know, take this money. Now that's attitude. That's how, when you're stuck in a situation which is not favorable to you, how your attitude helps you sail through that situation. That's my presence of mind. And this is all because of my attitude. Another thing to notice here is that, and before I tell you another thing to notice, and this will give you an example between, being a cry child, keep crying on something, and being happy about something. So if I tell you, that I want to tell you a joke, that, there was this boy who went here and he did that, and then he fell in and I keep telling you the same joke again and again and again and again. Will you laugh on the same joke again and again? The answer is no. Same ways, if we cannot laugh on the same joke again and again, Why should we cry on the same problem again and again? Now that's negativity. That brings negativity. That brings pessimism. That brings hopelessness. Crying on the same problem again and again. कि मेरे साथ तो बहुत बुरा हुआ. If we cannot laugh on the same joke again and again, we should never cry on the same problem again and again. And that's attitude. That's the Josh that we want to have in ourselves. And that's the Josh we want to fill in our students and the people who we get in touch with. So how's the attitude is a question that we need to ask us every morning that we get up. And we need to ask our students, ask our team members, ask our people, ask people whose life we are touching, how's the attitude? Moving on. Authentic happiness. Now, this is very important. There are two types of happiness that any person can have. One is called the authentic happiness. Now, authentic happiness is a long-lasting happiness. Authentic happiness is a permanent happiness. Authentic happiness is situation agnostic happiness. Authentic happiness is something which we create for ourselves. And that this is the difference between Chan and Sukh. Now, Chan is authentic happiness because this resides inside us. Chan to hai apna, Sukh hai parai. And that's a beautiful line that I read somewhere. Chan is mine. Authentic happiness is mine. This is what I create for myself. This is what I need to help my people to create in themselves. And the second one is the hedonistic happiness. Hedonistic happiness is also called the instant gratification. आज मुझे कुछ चाहिए, मैंने जाके दुकान से खरीद दिया, I am happy. After 1 month, I'm not happy about it because now I want something else. I have an Apple, I have an iPad, I have an iPad of second level or second series. I'm happy. Tomorrow, the third series comes in. I'm unhappy. Now I want to buy third series. The fourth series. Now this is hedonistic happiness. This is instant gratification. The idea here is to not instill hedonistic happiness. The idea is to instill authentic happiness. The idea is to instill a happiness which is permanent among us and among our people. And this will only come if I'm positive and if I'm optimistic about things which are happening around us. And that is where there are three things. Now, there is something called job, there is something called occupation, and then there is something called calling. Now, job is basically 9 to 5 job. I as a professional, I go to my office, I log into the system, I work through the day, I come back at 5 p.m. That's my job. Is it giving me happiness? No. It is giving me money, which is helping me to get instant gratification, hedonistic happiness. The second thing is occupation. Occupation is whereby I have a possibility to grow. I have a possibility to develop myself. I have a possibility to go to the next level. That's occupation. Is it giving me authentic happiness? The answer is no. Is it giving me hedonistic happiness? The answer is no. It is somewhere between. Some days I'm happy, some days I'm not happy. And the third is calling. That is where I'm trying to find the purpose. That is where I'm trying to find the basic existential questions that why have I taken a birth like a man or a woman? Why am I not a cockroach? Why am I not a snake? Why am I a human being? Now, those are the existential questions that I'm asking. Those are the kind of purpose, meaning that I'm giving to my people or the circle that I'm getting in touch with. Now, many people at this point of time may not be aware of this. You remember the first pyramid that I showed? They may not have the knowledge of that. Is where our role comes as professionals to tell them, to take them slowly from job to occupation to calling. To job, to occupation, to, and this is a journey which we have to take them in. Why are you studying? Are you studying for a degree or are you studying for knowledge? Are you studying for wisdom? Are you studying to become better person, better human being? Two ways I can teach my people So there was this mother and son who were standing on a bus stop, and there were another mother and son who were standing on the bus stop. And there was this kachra wala who was sweeping the road. So this mother tells her son, I want you to study so that you do not become like him. That's one way of telling. The other mother tells her son, I want you to study so that you can make a better world for them to live. Same person, two mothers telling their son different things. One mother is talking about job and occupation, so that you do not become like him, so that you have a better job, so that you have a better occupation. The other mother is telling the son a purpose, so that you can make this world better for these people. Now, this is the difference between if I have to tell people about their job occupation, or if I have to tell them about their purpose, about their calling. Now, authentic happiness comes when you help people understand their strengths, and when you compliment them on your strengths, when you give them an opportunity to apply their strengths. That is where the authentic happiness comes. That is where a permanent happiness comes. Because if I'm able to do what I'm good at, is when I'm getting purpose in my life. And when I'm getting purpose in my life, I'm happy about what I'm doing. And that's important for me. Now, as influencer, as a group of professionals who are going to curate the future of our next generation, it becomes very, very important for all of us combined together to help our next generation find that purpose. Is it easy? The answer is no. Is it difficult? The answer is no. There is a way out. Is where all of us will have to come together and help each and every soul that we are touching find that purpose. And I'm also gonna talk about how can we change our questioning so that we can help them find their purpose. But before we go into this, I would also want to tell you that how we as professionals, how we as influencers can influence someone's life, can make them positive about their life, can make them optimistic about their life. And here I would want you to just look at this palm, and the secret lies here. The first thing is that everybody who we get in touch with, are we providing that person some kind of certainty? When I'm saying certainty, I'm talking about reliability. I'm talking about consistency. And that's where this thumb comes into the picture. This thumb says, whenever I'm certain, whenever I'm confident, I always say, yes, I'll do it. This thumb represents certainty. So whenever I'm meeting somebody, whenever I'm influencing somebody, whenever I'm coaching somebody, whenever I'm mentoring somebody, am I giving them the certainty that, boss, don't worry, I'm there for you? This is called certainty. The second one is where we have to provide them the variety. Have I, as an influencer, been able to provide them variety? When I'm talking about variety, I'm talking about giving them alternatives, telling them that this problem can be dealt like this, can be dealt like this, can be dealt like this, or you can have this as your career, this as your career, this as your career, or when you are studying, you can study the same thing this way, this way, this way. Am I giving them variety? Because every human being needs variety in life. Every human being needs certainty in life. And you can also reflect on yourself when I'm talking about this concept, that all of us also need certainty in our life. All of us also need variety in our life, alternatives in our life. So second need of any human being is variety. First is certainty, second is variety. The third is significance. Significance is when I'm able to give you the kind of significance you need. Can I compliment you on your strengths? Can I tell you, hey, good work done? It is not about finding people doing right. I'm sorry, I missed it. It is not about finding the right people. It is about finding people doing right things. And that's what important. What we do, we wait for people to do something right and then compliment them. Oh, ye tumne bada acha kiya. But we actually have to be the compliment finder. We have to find people doing something right and compliment them. Compliments come at no price, but they really, really influence people. They really make them positive. And when they become positive, you see a lot of change in them. You see a lot of hope coming from them. So first is certainty, second is variety, third is significant. The fourth one is love. That is the need of any human being. And that every one of us knows, so I'm not getting into that. The fourth one is growth. If you look at this finger of your hand, this finger is the shortest and it can grow a little bit more. And this represents growth. So if I'm able to provide growth to my people, personally, professionally, is when I will be able to influence them positively. I will be able to help them become more positive. So certainty, variety, significance, love, and growth. And the fifth one, and the sixth one, and the most important one is when you keep your hand like this. Now this, you can look at it as asking, or you can look at it as giving. At the end of the day, we are talking about contributing. If I'm able to help my team, my people who we get in touch with, to feel that they're contributing to the society, is when I'm making them happy about themselves. Is when I'm making them feel good about themselves, feel positive about themselves, feel optimistic about things. So 6 needs, if I'm able to take care of any human being, and the research says that you may not take care of all 6 needs. You only take care of 3 needs. Identify those needs in that person, take care of those needs, and that person will become, from what we say, learned helpless to learned optimist. Certainty, variety, significance, love, growth, and contribution. Identify any 3 needs in any person who you think are the most in that person. Take care of that. That person will start walking with you on the journey of from being what we say learned helpless to being positive. We move on. Well-being is not about happiness. Now we are going to the next level. Happiness cannot be considered as being well-being. Now in this world, in this corona world, everyone is talking about mental well-being. Everyone is talking about being physical well-being. Everyone is talking about meditation. Everyone is talking about how do we keep our minds engaged. And that is where this entire model of well-being comes, which is about positive emotion. Am I able to instill those positive emotions in our people? Am I able to instill that positivity? And I just told you about positivity. You take care of any 3 needs out of the 6 needs, you instigate those positive emotions in any person. Am I able to engage with them? Am I doing authentic conversations with them? Am I looking into your eyes when I'm talking to you? Am I giving you those positive vibes? And those positive vibes can only come when I am positive. If I am not positive, I cannot be positive to other people. Relationships. Am I having authentic relationships? Meaning, I have again spoken about this in the previous slides, and accomplishment, which is what they have accomplished. What is the meaning? Have I been able to take them through the journey of job, occupation, and calling? This is what, so these are the 5 things which actually talk about the well-being. The positive emotions, the engagement, the relationship, the meaning, and the accomplishments. That's about well-being. That's one step next to happiness. Happiness to well-being. Now, again, I'm talking about this entire journey. Now, this entire journey is a long journey. All of us need to walk on it, and we also have to handhold our people and take them on this journey as much as possible along with us. So how the questioning changed? Earlier, so when you talk about, psychology, when you talk about neuroses and things like that, you talk about what is wrong with you. Batao, kya takleef hai? Main us takleef ka tumko nivaran dunga. I will give solution to that problem. That's all about asking on the minus side, asking on the negative side. Change the question to what is right with you. Tell me, let me explore that rightness with you. Let me explore those strengths with you. Let me explore those positives in you. Let me help you make those positives as super positives, because that's easy to do. That's easier behavior change to bring in. So let me bring those right things out of you and let me help you explore those right things. And that is where your entire concept of Johari windows comes into picture, where you find that blind spot, that positive blind spot, that blind spot which I cannot see, but we as an outsider can see in the people who we are influencing or who we are getting in touch with. So what is right with you? How can I help you explore that rightness? How can I help you explore those positives? How can I help you explore those brighter sides of your personality? Let me work on them. Forget about your wrongs. There are a lot of people to talk about your wrongs. Let me talk about your rights. And then you take them on this journey of positivity. You take them on this journey of optimism. You take them on this journey of hope. That brings me to the next slide, which is theory of hope. Now, hope is a subject. Hope is a statement which is used in a very, very casual way. But the power that this word hope has, hope is that you put an alarm when you go to bed, expecting that we will get up next morning. That's hope. We do not know what is going to happen. Hope is about blocking the calendar 1 month aage ka, hoping that everything will be fine. That's hope. Now, hope is a bigger subject than just casually what we say, hope to see you, hope to meet you, hope to catch you. That's a casual word. But hope otherwise has a bigger connotation, bigger meaning to it. So there's this professor, Rick Sinder. You can find about him on internet. Rick Sinder came up with this theory of hope. That's what this hope is and how this entire concept of hope works. And now this is what we also have to help our colleagues, help our people, help our teams with. So he says there are 3 things to hope. He says the first thing to hope is that, do I have a goal? Do I know what I want to achieve? Do I know what is the aim in my life? That's first step of being hopeful. The second step of being hopeful is, have I created enough pathways? When I say pathways, I'm saying roads that can lead me to this goal, alternatives that may lead me to this goal. Those are my pathways. And the third is agency. Now, agency, when he says, he means sustained motivation. Do I have a motivation, or am I enough motivated that I do not need anyone to come and tell me that I can do it? I'm self-motivated. Or do I need to be told by somebody again and again that, look, you can do it? Like what Hanuman, he had to be told because he forgot all his powers. He had to be told every time that what he can do. So only when he was told that he can jump the sea is when he said, yes, I can jump the sea. So am I being a Hanuman who has forgotten all my powers, who is not internally charged up, who is not internally motivated to do that? Or am I someone who can do it on my own? So hope has 3 layers. A, the goal. B, the pathways or the alternates. And C, the agency. Now, when all these 3 things come together is when I become hopeful. Hopeful is about achieving something. Hopeful is about that I can do something. So do I write my goals? Do I write them in a measured way? Do I tell them that, okay, I will achieve XYZ in XYZ days? That becomes measurable. And now to achieve this XYZ in XYZ days, what are my alternatives? What are the different ways I can go with? What is my plan A? What is my plan B? What is my plan C? And then third is, what all landmarks do I need to create which will keep me motivated? Like one of my friends used to say that, whenever I had to finish a project, I always used to keep a deadline through the day, that only once I finish this much of coding, and he was a software engineer, only once I finish this much of coding, I'll go for a smoke break. Now that was his motivation. That was the way he used to reward himself, that only when I'll be able to finish this, I will go on a smoke break. Now, am I creating those landmarks? And who is going to help people create those landmarks? All of us. Those landmarks have to be created by all of us. Help them create these landmarks. So A, help them write their goals, make them measurable, make them time bound. B, help them develop alternatives, help them develop pathways, help them develop plan A, plan B, plan C. Okay, fair enough. If you're not able to become a doctor, you can become this. If you're not able to become this, you can also explore this. Do I have these alternatives? And C, do I create those smaller landmarks? Do I create those benchmarks which will help me to stay hopeful, to stay positive? This is the entire theory of hope. And this theory, once implemented, becomes powerful. Moving on. Life is unfair. So when Karn was made the Senapati of Kauravas, Magad Naresh was his Sarathi. Magad Naresh was his, the person who used to take care of his chariot. So Magad Naresh asked Karn, are you scared of Arjun, of Krishna, of Bhishma? Are you not scared, or are you? So he says, and there's a beautiful line which I saw in Mahabharata, is that वो काठ के योद्धा होते हैं जो डरते नहीं हैं. Those are the warriors of wood who are not scared. Life is unfair everywhere. It is not about getting scared of the situation. It is about winning that fear. Life is unfair for everybody. And this is something which we have to tell our people boldly, on their face, that boss, life is unfair. Don't think that life is a bed of roses. Life is completely bed of thorns. Be used to it. Life has been unfair to us. Life will be unfair to you. There is no way it is going to be fair to you. Learn it, accept it, acknowledge it as early as possible, and then become hopeful. Then become positive. Then become optimistic. Because if you will accept this fact that life is unfair, is when you will find pathways, is when you will find alternative, is when you will have plan A, B, C. If I say, no, life is absolutely fair to me, nothing will happen to me, is when I will never create those pathways, and I will start losing hope. Why? Because I will keep failing. And because I will keep failing, I will keep losing my hope. And then I will become what I said in the first slide. I will learn to become helpless. I will learn to become helpless. And that's how we learn to become helpless. So this is something which is very important to be told. Another important thing to be told to people is take risks in life. Now, there are two things to it. A, I have to take risks, or I have to take calculated risk. Now, the only difference between risk and calculated risk is going to be us. And I'll tell you how. Because we are going to help them in taking this calculated risk. Because we have the experience, we have the perspectives, we have the vision of so many years. So we can help them take this calculated said, life is too short to take all your risks all your own. Life is too short. So what we need to do is we need to help them We need to help them take calculated risks. We need to help them take risks which also have a safety net. And that safety net is all of us who are sitting here. That safety net is the positivity that we are bringing to them. This I'll skip. All right. So last thing that I want to talk to, I think we are running out of time also now, Madhura.
We started at 11:30, no, 12 o'clock. It's okay, sir. You can continue till almost this is your last slide, no?
I actually do not want to eat into everyone's lunch. Otherwise, the hope to have lunch will go.
So the time is not a major issue. As we delayed you, we can delay the next speaker also slightly. It's okay. You take it according to you.
Okay, fair enough. So I just want to talk about 2-3 more things, and then perhaps I will close. As a teacher, or as a professor, or as a person, one thing which is very, very important for us is to also understand our people around. And I'll give you a small story around it, which will help us understand this entire thing better. So there was this young mother, and this mother had a small kid, kuch 5-6 saal ka. So this young mother used to go to work the whole day. Bombay में रहती थी वो, so local train लेकर के धक्के खा करके वापस घर आना, and this was her routine. So by the time she used to come back home, she used to get very tired. So this young kid once, when she came back, started asking his mother that I want to go to a mela, a fair nearby. Now, this mother was all tired and it was a weekday. So she said that, son, can we please go on this Saturday? This boy says, no, we have to go today. The mother again requests, can we please go on Saturday? The boy says, no. Now, the way he was asking got converted into a zid. This request was getting now into zid. Now this boy started crying. This boy started rolling on the floor and things like that. Now this mother, what will this mother do? Poor lady. She changed. She got this boy also done up, new clothes and everything. And after she made him ready, both of them went to the fair. अब ये जो छोटा सा बच्चा था, इसका हाथ पकड़ के इसकी माँ was walking. So she entered into the fair. As she entered into the fair, she was walking the hand of this kid and she was walking in the fair. Now, suddenly, when she saw so much of brightness, so much of light, so many stalls and things like that, she also started enjoying. She was also a young girl. She started liking the whole thing. And this boy was also walking along with her. Now, it so happened that only after 5 to 10 minutes, घर जाना है? क्यों? No, I have to go back home. And he started crying. Now this mother got really upset. She says that when I was at home, all tired, you made me come here. You were crying there, rolling on the floor. And now when I've got you here, you want to go back home. And in this entire anxiety, this lady slapped his son. But anyways, this boy was just not listening and he wanted to go home. Now what will this mother do? Okay, I'll take you back home. So this mother bends down to pick up the kid so that she can take her home. And when she bends down to pick up this child in her lap is when she understands what is actually going wrong. From where this mother was looking at the fair, it was all brightness, it was all jhula, it was all stalls, it was all brightness all around. But from the place this small kid who was walking along with her mother was seeing the fair was all clumsy, was all legs, was all ganda all around, claustrophobic for him. Now, this is the difference between vision and viewing. Now, this child was not able to see what this mother was seeing, and this mother was not able to see what this child was seeing. All of us today are with our experience, with our time that we have spent, are at a place, at a situation where we can see slightly ahead of what these small kids can see. And that is where it becomes extremely important for all of us to bend down and look at from the point, from the place these kids are seeing. And that's called empathy. And that's called getting into those people's shoes and make them understand. Otherwise, we will keep telling them to be positive. We will keep telling them to be enthusiastic. We will keep telling them to be hopeful. We will keep telling them to be, look at the brighter side, but they will never be able to see because we are not able to see what they are able to see. And hence, for all of us, it will become extremely important now to go down to their level, understand what they are seeing, and then help them understand what we want them to see. Now, this is the journey because they have another story. As I said in the beginning, they have another story and we have another story. Now, these stories have to mix. And the moment these stories mix, we will be able to create an environment which is optimistic, which is positive, which is hopeful, which is conducive for everybody to become successful in their lives. So I rest my case there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. As you can see from the message, I was right of what I was saying at the start. So with this, I call upon the participants if they wish to interact with you directly, or if they want to ask any questions, they can go ahead and do so in the chat box also.
Sure. And I think, Rashmi, we also need to have a couple of questions around it.
Yes. If somebody wish to ask question, you are welcome.
So, yeah. So how it happens is, जब तक क्वेश्चंस लोग टाइप कर रहे हैं, मैं एक छोटी सी कहानी और सबको सुना देता हूँ. एक गांव में एक पंडित जी थे और उन पंडित जी के घर में एक बैल था. नॉर्मली किसी ने मुझे बोला, why you write thank you. That's not a spelling mistake, by the way. I want all of you to think on whatever we have spoken right now, and hence I have, instead of writing thank you, I have written thank you. So that's the whole thing. So this Pandit ji had this bell, and us bell ki badi ek khasiyat thi. It was a very unique in one way that, normally the horns of the bell are like this. Uske jo horns hain wo upar se aise jude hue the. Very unique bell, huh? And whenever this Pandit ji used to look at that bell, he always had this quirk. Quirk को हम हिंदी में भी बोल सकते हैं चुल, कीड़ा बोलते हैं ना, जिसे सुलेमानी कीड़ा. So उनके दिमाग में हमेशा एक कीड़ा रहता था कि यार जो मेरा ये सर है, my head, will it pass through this or not? जो उसके ऐसे सींग लगे हुए हैं, उससे जा पाएगा कि नहीं जा पाएगा. So एक बार उन्होंने रात को, और जब कभी भी वो उसको देखते थे, whenever he used to look at that bell, he always used to keep, thinking about it, whether it will go, and used to spend hours looking at it. So one morning he didn't get up. So all of his neighbors, they started thinking कि भाई साहब आज पंडित जी उठे क्यों नहीं. So पंडित जी के घर पे गए तो देखा पंडित जी एकदम लहूलुहान जमीन पे नीचे पड़े हुए. So लोगों ने पूछा, भाई पंडित जी, what has happened to you? All well with you? बोलते, yeah, all well. You know what? Since months I was just thinking whether my head will pass through these horns or not. Last night मैं अंदर डाल दिया. Then what happened? People asked, no, then nothing happened. Then whatever happened, the bell only did. What did it do? People asked. He said, अरे यार, उठा उठा के पटक के बहुत मारा, फाइनली किसी तरह तो सर निकला, is when everybody asked this Pandit ji, so what did you learn now? ये सब करने के बाद, and he gave a beautiful advice to everyone, which my CFO, my first company's CFO gave me, and he was a Marwadi, so it's a Marwadi saying which says, गिरगिराहट से चिरमिराहट बढ़िया. Girgirahat means you always have this quirk, whether I should ask, whether I should not ask, whether I should question, whether I should not question, what will people think of me and things like that. That's girgirahat. अभी चिरमिराहट मतलब एक बारी हो गया, एक बारी पूछ लिया, एक बारी खत्म हो गया, chapter closed. Now I will go back to my bed peacefully. So it's always good, if you have any questions, ask. And this